The asteroid field stretched endlessly in all directions, filled with rocks the size of mountains floating in the cold darkness of space. Some were rich with rare metals that could power starships for decades. Others held crystals that made faster-than-light travel possible. This was the Kepler drift, and for 3 long years it had been soaked in blood and fire. General Thakmor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Fang, watching enemy ships move between the asteroids like deadly insects. His yellow eyes tracked their movements while his clawed hands gripped the metal railing. The Kreks had been fighting the Thane for so long that he could predict their attack patterns. Still they kept coming. The Kreks were built for war. Their homeworld had crushing gravity that made their bones dense as stone. Volcanoes erupted constantly, filling the air with poison gas that would kill most other species. Only the strongest Kreks survived to adulthood. Those who lived became warriors without equal in the galaxy. Thakmor's scales were scarred from 100 battles. Each mark told a story of survival against impossible odds. His species had learned that only the ruthless lived long enough to have children. Mercy was weakness. Compromise was death. Enemy bioships approaching from Sector 7, reported his tactical officer. The younger Krex's voice was steady despite the approaching danger. Fear was something their species had forgotten long ago. Through the view screen, Thakmor could see the Thane vessels moving closer. They looked like giant insects made of bone and metal. Unlike Krek ships built from pure steel and armor, Thane vessels were grown rather than constructed, living ships that could heal their own wounds and adapt to different weapons. The Thane had evolved on a world where radiation storms could strip flesh from bone in minutes. Massive desert storms buried entire cities under tons of sand. Their ancestors had survived by becoming a hive mind, sharing thoughts and reactions faster than any individual could think. They fought as one massive organism with thousands of parts. Swarm Queen Zixthara controlled her fleet from the heart of her bioship, the Endless Hunger. Her consciousness flowed through every vessel in her armada. She could see through 1,000 eyes and think with 1,000 minds all at once. To her, the Kreks were simple brutes who fought as individuals instead of a unified whole. Her ship pulsed with organic energy as it moved between the asteroids. The hull rippled like living skin, adjusting its shape to deflect incoming fire. Smaller bioships swarmed around her flagship like antibodies protecting a vital organ. The war had started over mining rights to the Kepler drift. Both species needed the rare materials found in the asteroid field. Neither was willing to share. Neither was capable of backing down. Their homeworlds had taught them that resources were won through strength alone. Launch hunter pods, Zixthara commanded through the neural link that connected her to every Thane in the fleet. Her order flowed instantly to all ships at once. Within seconds, thousands of small attack craft erupted from the bioships like seeds from a pod. The Kreks responded immediately. Their ships opened fire with plasma cannons that could melt through solid rock. The space between the asteroids lit up with weapons fire. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers as ships on both sides took damage. Thakmor watched one of his destroyers take a direct hit from a Thane acid missile. The weapon ate through the hull like it was paper. Atmosphere vented into space along with the bodies of his warriors. He felt anger burn in his chest but showed no emotion on his face. Emotion was another form of weakness. The battle raged for hours. Ships darted between asteroids using the massive rocks for cover. When smaller asteroids got in the way, the warships simply destroyed them with their weapons. The debris field grew thicker with every passing minute. Neither side could gain a clear advantage. The Krek ships were stronger and better armored, but the Thane vessels were faster and could coordinate their attacks perfectly. For every Krek ship destroyed, 2 Thane bioships died. For every Thane casualty, the Kreks lost experienced warriors they could not easily replace. Both fleets had been fighting so long that they knew each other's tactics perfectly. Every new strategy was quickly countered. Every surprise attack was anticipated. The war had become a grinding match of endurance where victory would go to whoever lasted longest. On distant worlds, billions of civilians waited for news from the front lines. Krek's mothers sent their sons to die in the asteroid field, knowing that retreat would mean the end of their empire. Thane drones worked endlessly to grow new bioships, understanding that defeat would mean extinction for their entire hive mind. The Galactic Council had tried to mediate the conflict. Representatives from peaceful species offered to negotiate a settlement. Both the Krex and Thane had ignored them completely. To species that had evolved on Deathworlds, the soft creatures from garden planets could never understand what was truly at stake. Other powers in the galaxy watched the war with growing concern. The Krex and Thane were among the most dangerous military forces known. If their conflict spread beyond the Kepler drift, entire sectors could be devastated, but no one had the strength to force them to stop fighting. The battle continued as it had for 3 years. Ships destroyed each other in the darkness between the asteroids. Warriors died believing their sacrifice would bring victory. Commanders made plans knowing that tomorrow would bring more of the same endless violence. Neither Thakmor nor Zixthara could imagine that their war was about to change forever. Neither could foresee that a single ship from a species they barely noticed would soon arrive to turn their conflict upside down. They fought on, locked in their deadly dance, while somewhere in the vast emptiness of space, the USS Dakota was already on its way to change the course of galactic history. The largest battle of the 3-year war was about to begin. Over 200 ships from both fleets moved into position among the asteroids. General Thakmor had committed his entire reserve force to this engagement. Swarm Queen Zixthara had grown new bioships specifically for this moment. Both commanders knew that today would decide the fate of the Kepler drift. The Iron Fang led the Krex battle line forward. Massive dreadnoughts followed behind the flagship, their hulls bristling with plasma cannons and missile tubes. The ships moved in perfect formation, each one a fortress of metal and armor. On the other side of the asteroid field, the endless hunger pulsed with organic energy. The Thane bioships surrounded it like a living cloud, their bone-white hulls rippling as they prepared for combat. Acid missiles grew in their launch tubes like eggs ready to hatch. Both fleets were seconds away from opening fire when something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to tear open between them. A brilliant flash of light filled the darkness, and suddenly a new ship appeared where none had been before. The vessel was strange to both alien species. It was clearly artificial like Krex ships, but smaller and more graceful than their brutal war machines. Unlike Thane bioships, it showed no signs of organic growth. The hull was a dull gray color with markings that neither side recognized. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Dakota, trying to understand what his ship had just dropped into. One moment they had been traveling through hyperspace, on their way home from a survey mission. The next moment they were surrounded by the largest concentration of warships he had ever seen. "What in the hell is going on out there?" Morrison asked his tactical officer. Commander Lisa Grant was already running scans of the surrounding ships. Her console displayed readings that made her shake her head in disbelief. "Captain, I'm reading over 200 combat vessels. 2 distinct fleets in battle formation. They were about to engage when we arrived." Morrison looked at the main view screen. Massive alien ships surrounded his vessel on all sides. Some looked like metal fortresses covered in weapons. Others resembled giant insects made of bone and sinew. All of them were clearly built for war. "Are they targeting us?" Morrison asked. "Negative, sir," Grant replied. "Both fleets have stopped their attack patterns. I think our arrival caught them by surprise." Communications Officer Pete Williams looked up from his station. "Captain, I'm receiving signals from both fleets. They're trying to identify us, but I don't think they recognize our ship design or our language." Chief Engineer Amy Torres checked her instruments from the engineering station. "Fusion drives are running hot, Captain. I can get us out of here fast if needed." Morrison considered his options. The Dakota was a heavy cruiser by human standards, but it looked tiny compared to the alien dreadnoughts surrounding them. His crew of 180 was well trained, but they had never faced a situation like this. The human ship had appeared directly between the 2 fleets, creating an unexpected pause in their battle preparations. Neither the Krex nor the Thane wanted to be the first to resume hostilities with an unknown neutral party present. General Thakmor stared at the strange vessel on his view screen. He had fought against Thane bioships for 3 years, but this new arrival was completely different. The ship design was unfamiliar, and his sensors could not identify the species that built it. "What are your orders, General?" asked his tactical officer. Takmor remained silent for a long moment. The Kreks were always ready for battle, but they were also practical warriors. Starting a fight with an unknown enemy while already engaged with the Thane could be disastrous. Swarm Queen Zixthera was equally confused by the newcomer. Her hive mind processed thousands of thoughts simultaneously, but none of her drones had any information about this strange vessel. The ship was too small to be a serious threat, but its sudden appearance was troubling. Science Officer Carl Bennett ran every scan the Dakota's sensors could manage. "Captain, I'm getting some interesting readings. Both fleets are definitely preparing for major combat. The energy signatures suggest weapons that could vaporize our ship with a single hit." Morrison walked to the center of his bridge. His crew looked to him for orders, but he was thinking about more than just their immediate survival. These two fleets were about to fight the largest battle he had ever witnessed. The destruction would be enormous. "Williams, can you establish communication with both fleets?" Morrison asked. "I can try, sir. Their communication methods are completely different from each other, but I might be able to create a basic translation protocol." "Do it." "Grant, what's our tactical situation?" "Not good, Captain. We're outnumbered about 200 to 1. Our weapons wouldn't even scratch those larger ships, but they seem to be waiting to see what we do next." Morrison made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Instead of fleeing from the overwhelming alien forces, he chose to stay and try to prevent the massive battle that was about to begin. "Williams, open channels to both fleet commanders. Tell them we want to talk." "Sir, that might not be wise," Grant said quietly. "We don't know anything about these species. They might see any communication as an act of aggression. Or they might be curious enough about us to hold their fire," Morrison replied. "These ships were built for war, but that doesn't mean their commanders want unnecessary destruction." The Dakota hung motionless in space between the two massive fleets. Human technology was centuries behind the alien weapons surrounding them, but Captain Morrison was about to prove that sometimes courage and determination mattered more than superior firepower. Both alien commanders received the communication request from the small human vessel. Neither had ever encountered humans before, but something about the ship's positioning suggested peaceful intentions rather than hostile ones. For the first time in 3 years, the war in the Kepler drift came to a complete stop. Captain Morrison stood in the center of his bridge, facing two of the most dangerous military commanders in the galaxy. The main view screen showed split images of General Thakmor and Swarm Queen Zixthera. Neither alien looked pleased about this interruption to their war. The Krek's general was a terrifying sight. His reptilian face was covered in battle scars, and his yellow eyes burned with barely controlled rage. Rows of sharp teeth showed when he spoke. Everything about him screamed predator. The Thane Queen was different but equally frightening. Her insectoid features were alien beyond human understanding. Multiple eyes studied Morrison while her mandibles clicked together in what might have been irritation. She spoke through a translation device that made her voice sound like grinding. "Metal. Unknown vessel." Thakmor growled through the communication link. "You have entered a combat zone without permission. State your species and your business here or prepare to be destroyed." Zixthera's response came at almost the same time. "Small ship, you interrupt the Hive's righteous battle. Explain your presence or be consumed by our bioweapons." Morrison had faced dangerous situations before, but nothing like this. He was talking to two species that could wipe out his entire ship without effort. Yet something about their pause made him think. They were curious rather than immediately hostile. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the human vessel USS Dakota," he said calmly. "We arrived here by accident during our return from a deep space exploration mission. We had no intention of interfering with your conflict." Both alien commanders seemed surprised by his direct response. Most species would have fled immediately when faced with such overwhelming force. This human captain showed no signs of fear. "Human," Thakmor repeated, as if testing the word. "Your species is unknown to the Krex Empire. Your ship is small and appears to carry limited weapons. Why do you not flee from superior forces?" Morrison took a deep breath. What he was about to propose was either brilliant or completely insane. Because I believe both of your civilizations are making a terrible mistake. The temperature on both alien bridges seemed to drop several degrees. Zixthara's mandibles clicked faster, a sign of extreme agitation. Thakmor's claws scraped against the metal railing of his command platform. You dare judge the Krex? Thakmor snarled. We have conquered a dozen worlds through strength and honor. Our warriors are without equal in the galaxy. The hive mind spans centuries of evolution, Zixthara added. Our unity has brought victory against countless enemies. No individual species can comprehend our power. Morrison nodded respectfully. I don't question your strength or your honor. Both of your civilizations have clearly survived incredible challenges. That's exactly why this war is such a waste. He gestured to Science Officer Carl Bennett, who stepped forward with a data tablet. We've been exploring the outer rim of the galaxy for the past 2 years. What we found out there should concern every intelligent species. Bennett activated a holographic display that showed the area beyond known space. Strange energy signatures, pulsed in the darkness between stars. The readings were unlike anything in the galactic databases. These energy patterns are massive, Bennett explained. Whatever is generating them is far larger than anything we've encountered before. The power levels suggest technology that makes our current conflicts look like children playing with toys. Both alien commanders studied the data with growing interest. Their species had survived by being constantly aware of potential threats. These readings represented something completely unknown. This could be fabricated, Thakmor said, but his voice carried less certainty than before. The hive mind requires proof of such claims, Zixthara added. Morrison stepped closer to the view screen. I'm willing to provide all our sensor data for your analysis. But first I want to propose something that might sound impossible. He paused, knowing that his next words would either start a new chapter in galactic history or get his ship blown to pieces. I propose a 3-way negotiation. Not surrender or conquest, but a discussion between equals about the real threats facing all of our civilizations. The silence that followed was deafening. Both alien commanders stared at Morrison as if he had suggested something completely insane. In their experience, conflicts ended with victory or death, not conversation. Thakmor was the first to break the silence. You speak of equals, human. Your ship could be destroyed by a single blast from our smallest weapon. How do you claim equality with warriors who have conquered Deathworlds? Morrison smiled, and something in that expression made both aliens pause. Because humans come from a Deathworld too. We just learned different lessons from our survival. He nodded to Commander Grant, who brought up images of Earth on the holographic display. The planet looked beautiful from space, with blue oceans and white clouds, but the data showed a different story. Earth has weather systems that can destroy entire cities in minutes, Morrison explained. Earthquakes that split continents, volcanoes that block out the sun for years. We evolved alongside predators that hunt in packs and natural disasters that kill without warning. The images showed hurricanes, tornadoes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. They showed massive storms that dwarfed anything on the Krex or Thane, homeworlds. But instead of becoming pure warriors or a hive mind, Morrison continued, we learned to cooperate as individuals. We learned to find strength in our differences rather than our similarities. Zixthara's multiple eyes focused on the human captain with new interest. Your species survived such chaos through cooperation rather than domination? Cooperation and adaptation, Morrison confirmed. We learned to turn our differences into advantages. That's what I'm proposing now. Thakmor studied the human with growing respect. Any species that could survive such a hostile world deserved consideration, even if their methods were unusual. What exactly are you suggesting, human captain? The Krex general asked. Morrison looked directly at both alien commanders. Meet with me on neutral ground, bring small delegations. Let's discuss these unknown threats and see if 3 different approaches to survival might be stronger than any one approach alone. The hive mind does not negotiate with individuals, Zixthara said, but her tone was less hostile than before. The Krex do not show weakness through compromise, Thakmor added. Morrison nodded. I'm not asking for weakness or compromise, I'm asking for strategic thinking, If something out there is powerful enough to threaten all of us, shouldn't we understand it before we destroy each other? Both alien commanders fell silent, considering the humans' words. The war they had been fighting seemed less important when, faced with the possibility of unknown threats from beyond the galaxy's edge. Finally, Thakmor spoke. "The Krex will consider your proposal, human captain, but know that if this is deception, your death will be neither quick nor merciful. The hive mind is curious about your species and your data," Zixthera added. "We will agree to temporary cessation of hostilities for the purpose of evaluation." Morrison felt a surge of relief mixed with excitement. He had just convinced two of the galaxy's most dangerous species to stop fighting and start talking. Now came the hard part, proving that cooperation could be stronger than conquest. Habitat Station Echo floated silently in the darkness between the massive alien fleets. The small human-built station had been designed for diplomatic meetings between different species. Captain Morrison had suggested it as neutral ground for their unprecedented three-way negotiation. The station's main conference room had been modified to accommodate all three species. Environmental controls maintained separate atmosphere zones for each delegation. The Krex needed higher temperature and gravity. The Thane required lower humidity and specific radiation levels. Humans could adapt to almost anything, which impressed both alien species more than they wanted to admit. General Thakmor arrived first, accompanied by two of his most trusted warriors. The Krex delegation wore full battle armor even in the neutral zone. Their weapons had been left on their transport ship, but their claws and natural strength made them dangerous enough. Swarm Queen Zixthera materialized in the station through a biotransport pod. Three of her drone warriors flanked her, their compound eyes constantly scanning for threats. The Thane delegation moved with perfect coordination, as if they shared a single mind. Captain Morrison entered the conference room with Lieutenant Colonel Ryan Murphy and Dr. Kate Sullivan. Murphy was the Dakota's Marine commander, chosen for his tactical expertise. Sullivan was their xenobiologist and expert on alien species and cultures. The three delegations sat at a triangular table, each group studying the others with carefully hidden curiosity. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Before we discuss the unknown threats," Morrison began, "I think we should understand each other better. Our species have never worked together before. Trust will be essential if we're going to cooperate." Thakmor's yellow eyes fixed on the human captain. "The Krex do not trust easily, human Morrison. Trust must be earned through combat and proven through victory. The hive mind requires unity of purpose," Zixthera added. "Individual species cannot achieve true cooperation without surrendering their separate thoughts." Dr. Sullivan leaned forward slightly. "May I ask about your homeworlds? Understanding where we come from might help us understand why we fight differently." Thakmor straightened with obvious pride. "Krex Prime is a world of fire and stone. Gravity is 3 times what most species can survive. Volcanoes erupt constantly, filling the air with deadly gases. Only the strongest survive to adulthood. The weak perish before they can reproduce." One of his warriors displayed holographic images of their home world. Mountains of black rock reached toward a sky filled with ash. Rivers of molten lava carved paths through the landscape. Cities were built like fortresses, designed to withstand constant seismic activity. "On Krex Prime, every day is a battle for survival," Thakmor continued. "We learned that strength alone determines who lives and who dies. Cooperation is weakness that gets you killed." Zixthera's mandibles clicked as she prepared to speak. "The Thane evolved on Nexus 7, a world bathed in radiation that would sterilize most planets. Solar storms strip away atmosphere regularly. Desert winds carry sand that can flay flesh from bone." Her drones projected images of their home world. Endless deserts stretched under a burning sky. Strange crystalline structures rose from the sand like alien cathedrals. Underground cities housed billions of Thane workers in perfect harmony. "Individual survival was impossible on Nexus 7, Zixthera explained. Only through unity of mind could our ancestors survive. The hive became one consciousness spread across many bodies. Individual thought became extinct because it was inefficient." Both alien species looked at Morrison expectantly. They had shared their origins and wanted to understand what kind of Deathworld had produced humans. Morrison nodded to Dr. Sullivan, who activated a holographic display of Earth. The planet looked deceptively peaceful from space, with blue oceans and green continents under swirling white clouds. Earth appears calm from orbit, Sullivan began, but it's actually one of the most chaotic worlds we've discovered. Our planet has more extreme weather patterns than any other known inhabited world. The display showed massive hurricanes that could level cities, tornadoes that carved paths of destruction across continents, earthquakes that split the ground open and swallowed entire regions, volcanic eruptions that changed the climate for decades. Earth has ice ages that last for thousands of years, Sullivan continued. Asteroid impacts that cause mass extinctions, floods that reshape entire continents. Our ancestors survived not just one type of disaster, but dozens of different catastrophes. Thakmor leaned forward with interest. How did your species survive such chaos without becoming pure warriors? Morrison took over the explanation. We learned that different types of disasters required different solutions. You can't fight a hurricane with claws and strength. You can't survive an ice age through hive mind unity alone. Images showed human cities built to withstand earthquakes, early humans working together to survive floods, different human cultures adapting to deserts, mountains, frozen wastelands, and tropical jungles. Humans survived by becoming adaptable, Morrison explained. We learned to cooperate as individuals while maintaining our ability to think independently. We turned our differences into strengths instead of trying to eliminate them. Lieutenant EC. Colonel Murphy stood and walked to the center of the room. Both alien delegations watched him carefully. Murphy was clearly a warrior despite his calm demeanor. May I demonstrate something? Murphy asked politely. He moved through a series of combat exercises that showcased human reflexes and tactical thinking. His movements were fluid and unpredictable, combining elements from different fighting styles. He showed how humans could adapt their combat techniques instantly based on changing conditions. Both alien warriors were impressed, despite themselves. Murphy's fighting style was unlike anything they had seen before. Interesting, Thakmor admitted. Your warrior combines strength with flexibility. This is unusual for a Deathworld species. Zixthara's compound eyes tracked Murphy's movements. His tactics change constantly. No pattern for the hive mind to predict and counter. Most inefficient, yet somehow effective. Dr. Sullivan smiled. That's exactly the point. Humans learned that efficiency isn't always the best strategy. Sometimes you need redundancy, backup plans, and the ability to change direction completely. She brought up more data about human civilization. Images showed humans working together on massive projects while maintaining individual creativity. Cities that combined dozens of different architectural styles. Technologies that merged concepts from completely different scientific disciplines. We discovered that our greatest strength wasn't in being the strongest or the most unified, Sullivan explained. Our strength came from being the most adaptable. We learned to find solutions that nobody else would think of. Morrison stood and looked directly at both alien commanders. That's what I'm proposing now. We face an unknown threat that might be too big for any one approach to handle, but 3 different approaches working together might find solutions that none of us could discover alone. Thakmor was quiet for a long moment, processing what he had learned about humans. These small beings from the peaceful-looking world had survived challenges that would test even Krek's warriors. Zixthara's hive mind buzzed with rapid calculations. The human approach to survival was chaotic and inefficient by Thane standards, yet somehow it had produced a spacefaring civilization. Your species is more dangerous than we realized, Thakmor said finally. Not because of your weapons or your strength, but because of your thinking. The hive mind finds human adaptability. Disturbing yet useful, Zixthara added. Perhaps different approaches to survival have value we have not considered, Morrison nodded. Then you're ready to see what we discovered at the galaxy's edge, and why we might need all 3 approaches to survive what's coming. The real negotiations. We're about to begin. The conference room fell silent as Science Officer Carl Bennett activated the long-range sensor data from the Dakota's deep space mission. The holographic display showed the outer rim of the galaxy, where stars became sparse and darkness stretched toward infinity. But the darkness was not empty. Massive energy signatures pulsed in the void between galaxies. The readings were unlike anything in any known database. Whatever was generating them operated on a scale that dwarfed entire star systems. General Thakmor studied the data with growing concern. His tactical experience told him these were not natural phenomena. These energy patterns suggest artificial construction, something built structures larger than our homeworlds. Swarm Queen Zixthera's hive mind processed the information at incredible speed. Thousands of calculations ran simultaneously through her consciousness. The power requirements for such signatures would exceed the output of entire stars. This technology is beyond current galactic capabilities. Captain Morrison nodded grimly. Our analysis suggests these structures have been dormant for millions of years, but recent data indicates they're beginning to activate. Something is waking. Up out there. Bennett highlighted specific readings on the display. The energy output has increased by 40% in just the past 6 months. If this trend continues, whatever is out there will be fully operational within 2 years. The implications were staggering. All 3 species realized they were looking at evidence of technology that could threaten every civilization in the Yar galaxy. What do your databases tell you about this region of space? Morrison asked both alien commanders. Thakmor consulted his tactical records. Krek's exploration fleets reached those coordinates 3 centuries ago. They found nothing but empty space and returned home. No further missions were authorized. The hive mind sent probe ships to the galactic rim 200 years past, Zixthera added. All contact was lost, the vessels never returned. We assumed they were destroyed by natural hazards. Dr. Sullivan leaned forward. What if they weren't destroyed? What if they were captured or absorbed by whatever is out there? The thought sent chills through all 3 delegations. An intelligence that could capture entire fleets without sending any distress signals was beyond their experience. Morrison stood and walked to the center of the room. This is why I proposed our alliance. Alone, each of our civilizations might face extinction when this threat becomes active. Together, we might have a chance. Thakmor's scarred face showed skepticism. The Krek's empire commands over 300 warships. Our weapons can crack planets in half. What could your 12 human vessels add to such firepower? Morrison smiled at the challenge. Commander Grant, show them our tactical analysis. Commander, Lisa Grant activated a new holographic display. It showed battle formations that combined all 3 species' strengths in ways none had considered before. Krek's dreadnoughts have superior armor and firepower, Grant explained. Thane bioships offer unmatched coordination and adaptability. Human vessels provide technological flexibility and strategic unpredictability. The display showed theoretical battle scenarios. Krek ships formed the heavy assault line, their massive weapons breaking through enemy defenses. Thane bioships swarmed around flanks, their hive mind coordination allowing perfect tactical synchronization. Human ships provided mobile support, adapting their roles instantly based on changing battlefield conditions. Your individual strengths become even stronger when combined, Grant continued. Krek's durability protects Thane's swarm tactics. Thane coordination enhances Krek's firepower. Human adaptability ties both approaches together. Zixthera's mandibles clicked with interest. The hive mind sees merit in this configuration. Combined tactics could achieve results impossible for any single species. But Thakmor remained unconvinced. Theory is not reality, human Grant. Combat reveals truth that no simulation can predict. Lieutenant Colonel Murphy stepped forward. Then let us prove it works. General, would you be willing to participate in joint training exercises? The suggestion was bold, almost to the point of insanity. Military forces that had been killing each other for 3 years would now train together as allies. Thakmor considered the proposal. His warrior instincts told him to reject any cooperation with former enemies. but his tactical mind recognized the potential advantages. "What guarantees do we have that this alliance will be honored?" the Krex general asked. Morrison looked directly at both alien commanders. "The same guarantee you've always had in battle. Trust built through shared danger and proven through results." Chief Engineer Amy Torres had been quiet during the negotiations, but now she spoke up. "If I may, Captain, I'd like to show our guests something about human engineering philosophy." She activated a technical display showing the Dakota's fusion drive system. The design was unlike anything either alien species used. "Krex ships are built for maximum power and durability," Torres explained. "Thane bioships grow to optimize efficiency and coordination. Human ships are designed for maximum adaptability." She showed how human fusion drives could be reconfigured for different mission requirements. The same engines that powered exploration could be modified for combat, rescue operations, or deep space travel within hours. "We don't build the biggest guns or the fastest ships," Torres continued. "We build systems that can become whatever the situation requires." This revelation impressed both alien delegations more than raw firepower would have. The ability to adapt technology on the fly was something neither species had mastered. Suddenly, alarms began sounding throughout the station. Bennett rushed to his sensor console, his face going pale as he read the incoming data. "Captain, I'm detecting massive energy spikes from the galactic rim. The structures out there just increased their power output by 300%. The holographic display updated with new readings. The ancient structures were no longer dormant. Something vast and alien was awakening after millions of years of sleep." Morrison looked at both alien commanders. "Gentlemen, I don't think we have 2 years to prepare. Whatever is out there knows we're here." The moment of decision had arrived. 3 species that had never trusted each other now faced a threat that could destroy all of them. Thakmor stood slowly, his warrior's instincts finally overcoming his doubts. "The Krex Empire will join this alliance. Our ships will fight alongside yours." Zixthara's compound eyes reflected the light from the sensor displays. "The hive mind accepts the wisdom of cooperation. Our bioships will merge tactics with your fleets." Morrison felt a surge of relief mixed with determination. "Then let's show the galaxy what 3 Deathworld civilizations can accomplish when they work together." Within hours, the largest joint fleet in galactic history was forming in the Kepler Drift. Krex dreadnoughts took positions alongside Thane bioships and human cruisers. Warriors who had been killing each other that morning were now planning combined tactics for humanity's first true test as equals in the galactic community. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the Dakota, watching the massive alien fleets align with his small human vessel. Lieutenant Commander Tony Rodriguez plotted their course toward the unknown threat at the galaxy's edge. "All fleets report ready, Captain," Communications Officer Pete Williams announced. Morrison nodded, looking out at the stars ahead. Somewhere, in the darkness, an ancient intelligence was stirring. But humanity and its new allies were ready to meet whatever emerged from the void. "Then let's go show the galaxy what Deathworlders can accomplish when they stop fighting each other and start fighting together." The Alliance fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying 3 civilizations toward their shared destiny among the stars.